and it is a special little broadcast I'm doing here. This is the return that I've been teasing of the Fandom talks because I changed the name. So I know I kind of did a weird time for this as well, but I think I'm going to set them up more about 9 o'clock because everybody else seems to take the early time slots. And plus, I went to go see The Kitchen. So, anyways, welcome to the channel tonight. In honor of the return of Fandom Talks, I have a very special guest here in the Fandom Zone, and someone who's a pivotal part of the team for the late night talks. And I thought for the relaunch, it was only appropriate that the person who does all of the work you see here on the channel and who's just the greatest person you could ever know.
Oh, wow.
Just amazing. Yes. I'm going to talk you up.
I'm like, I don't know whether to be uncomfortable or complimented.
Welcome. Our very, very first guest for the relaunch is Lady Squirrel herself, Mad Squirrel. So go ahead and introduce yourself to all of the great people watching and tell them a little bit about the channel and who you are.
Oh my. Well, I am Mad Squirrel, and I got introduced to the community a long time ago. I've been on YouTube for a very long time, not on a channel per se. I've always just been, a supporter or a lurker. I was first brought to the community in general on YouTube through Black Angus. He had a Fandom Menace Parents stream. I think it was on his first one, I think. But I went on there. I met a lot of people such as Shellback and Geek in Disguise, and then I went over on Geek in Disguise's channel for a while doing morning stuff with him and his very reputable co-host, Mr. Prime Geek Collectors, and we used to do a morning show, but things got crazy for a while. Everyone got very sidetracked with kids and summer. Yay! So I ended up on the late night. I met Lee through Geek, and a couple other people too. Actually, it was just kind of random. Lee, I think or Zod. I met Lee through different people. But Geek was the primary, and I had met other. Lee was on other streams. When he was under Lee. But I don't know. I just started doing my channel, and I'm into a lot of older stuff, like throwback stuff. So old television shows and old films. I got introduced to. I love old film. I think it's very different than the crap that we have now. I think there's some good films we have. I just feel like it's overly saturated with CGI, and it gets very superficial. So I like goofy old films, but I also like a lot of really well done productions and theater and stuff like that. And so my channel's a bit of all of that. Plus, we go over other stuff. I guess best way to put it is I had a couple streams where it was just we were talking about more serious stuff. Because in the Phantom Menace, everything. I don't consider myself officially part of the Phantom Menace as myself, individually, but I support a lot of the creators and everyone that you see mostly on Twitter and YouTube that do try to at least bring their voice to the table. And I think that's what's important, is having a conversation, no matter what side you're on, or what you believe or what you don't support. Does that make sense? I guess. But so when we do streams, we had a few I've done with my co-host Willie Pete, and then my friend Rich and I used to do a podcast prior to. It's not on YouTube; it's on SoundCloud. But we did a podcast called Glitch Paradox for a very long time, and we had a lot of fun. We still do it. We're probably going to go back to it eventually, but we used to do it once a week. And we'd go over all the news. We'd go over politics. We'd go over paranormal. We would go over, because he and I are both into all these similar things. Anything that's a little off the radar or interesting, and always paying attention to the news. And run different communities with different people for I did writing for a long time. So yeah, I mean, just coming to YouTube in general though was a great, for me it was a great change, because I'm a writer, but I do a lot of art, I do a lot of other stuff, and then I keep myself busy because I have really bad ADD. So I'm not even hyperactive in that way. I just have to always be doing something. So um, when I got an invitation to come on the least stream, General's Odds, aka, I was more than happy to do so because I was like, oh, this will be fun. Because I mean, at the very least, it was talking about things I was interested in. Even if I'm not interested in something, it's fine because at least, oh, I've heard about it. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I've heard of this. Okay, you know. But yeah. So I've always kind of stayed in touch with what's going on online. I think that's really important. Now, I'm not saying it's the top priority in life, but I will say this: it's good to understand what's going on in the world, and that includes the internet because it explains a lot of the things that have gone on in real life now. Politics and the SJW shit, and, the behavior and this uprising of what do you call it, media bias that shows up in films, the political ideologies, right? So,
Yes,
and that's what really, to me, it's like, I heard a lot of people say, well, I don't like it being an entertainment. And I'm like, but it's there, it's a coliseum. So they're keeping this political agenda going by feeding it into entertainment. And eventually they'll realize that they're not going to make the money they think they're going to make by pushing this shit. You know, they might get to a good collection of it, but even I believe quite a few Zers are rejecting this. It's not just millennials are not the end all. And I think that that's the fun part is that this is every generation goes through a hiatus, and when you become irrelevant, then you'll find out how much it sucks. Yay.
Oh boy, we're crossing that slope pretty rapidly. And
Hmm.
before we dive more into this, I wanted to address a few people in the chat here who have shown up on this auspicious occasion. We have Kermit who said first. Yes, you were. The Lonely Banter is in here, who will
Mm.
be appearing in the late night talks with us. Thank you, LB, for coming by. He's dropping links, and LB, we love you. I have
Oh,
the Senate, the person who loves to hate my channel, but he's always here and he's always lurking in the chat. And we love you, Senate. So thank you for dropping by. We have Geekicidal Tendencies, who's probably
oh.
glad I'm doing something early. We
The
have
Canadian.
Hyatt Riot saying, "What's up, y'all?" Uh,
Hey.
Ancient One, who already sent you a super chat saying a gigantic bag of premium nuts and acorns for at Mad Squirrel. Her husband, Calm Squirrel, and their little squirrels who tend to rattle the tree.
Oh, very much. The bags of nuts do help. It keeps them at bay.
We have Benzo H, we have Slasher, Mix Splatter, we have Curtis YZ, we have Gary North, we have Jamie Jerez. What's
Horace.
up?
And it says, I'm back, Jesus Manuel.
Yes, I know who you are, and welcome back. Um, Interesting name change. I'm not one to judge. We
I know,
have
right?
we have Gary North and Squirrel. Don't worry about using Lee because that's what most people have known me as. And here on Fandom Talks is a little bit different, guys. I'm doing a different segment than my late night talks where we go crazy. This is more of a personal thing, and I started this originally as Lee Talks, and I wanted to, my goal for these, which you can ask Chris, inspired him to do the gospel, according to Chris, is that I wanted to interview people who have been pivotal to the channel and in this community, whether or not they're attached to the collective or the menace. I was told that we all are by the fact that we don't like the bullshit we see going on. Hey, Proper, thank you for coming. Um,
Proper.
so tonight I wanted to kick things off by starting off with someone who's been pivotal to my channel, and um, who is in a lot. You do a lot of different jumping around and modding work for other people, and so yeah, I wanted to kick this off right, and I will be doing these eventually, getting to all of the people here in the fandom zone, and then I want to bridge out and get people from the collective and
Mhm.
the menace to come on the program and do interviews with them. But this is really to highlight these people here in the community and what they do. And if you guys don't know, some of those great articles we have come courtesy of Mad Squirrel. She's always around lurking and
Mhm.
looking shit up. So if it wasn't for her, I'd probably have no topics to talk about because I'm so fucking busy.
Well, to be fair, it is. I think the fandom, bridge crew is like pretty outstanding. Everyone does bring stuff to the table. You know what I mean? Like I am a lurker on news, so I'm always looking at like random shit that makes me laugh, like or just things that I'm like, well, that's interesting and out of control. Um, but I think when you talk about pop culture, it intertwines with what's going on in our society. So that's why it's easy to branch out, and be like, oh, well, this weird shit's going on over here. you know, um, there's definitely an intertwining of media, especially now when you can't even sit down and watch a film without somebody going, well, we can't assume gender. I'm like, there's only two genders. No spoiler alert. And there's only two genders. Everything else is merely I think people just like fancy titles, honestly. I'm like, they like titles and to feel special, and that's fine. But in the world of reality, um, men don't ovulate and women do. And that's the way the world is. Crazy people, man. Oh, no.
And I think that one thing that I can say you bring is you're one of the linchpins within our bridge crew. You bring level-headedness and stability. You've helped us all out in one way or another, and we appreciate that. So I had to give you the opening segment. I mean, I tossed around a lot of things, a lot of different names, talked with a lot of people, but and I'm going to give a shout out to LB. He was like, you got to do Squirrel because she does so much for us. And I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? I've got to do my whole bridge crew because there is, us and the bridge crew is our Twitter. Um, we,
I'm, I'm like, uh-oh.
I was looking at the Senate. we,
Oh, God.
the chat is lively.
Hi,
We,
chat.
we have our own crew, and I felt like all of us should be on here first because within this community, we all have our own little communities that we've started. But the linchpin, the important part of uh, everything is that no matter what community we're part of, we can all agree we don't like the bullshit that's going on. You and me have young ones, so we know from the family perspective what it's like, and we see different shit. When it comes to dealing with our family structures, and then we have our entertainment, and we slowly seem to decline in that.
Hmm.
So, is my first question, man, for you is what out of everything we talk about is your most passionate subject?
Oh, man. That's a hard question. Um,
I know I came with, the
Hard
pad,
hitting. Okay, Barbara.
the hard hitting questions tonight.
Okay, Barbara Walters. Oh my. Let things I don't know what happened, Barbara, but I'm gonna assume that your gender is now male. Um, but I think the one that like man, Star Wars always pisses me off. The new Star Wars stuff, it always gets because I hate Roundhead so much. It's a personal thing. It really is. I feel like he's just um he made it personal by being a jackass, and it's that entitlement that and when somebody is grossly entitled like that, it's just easy for me to go off on him because he is such a piece of shit. Um But other than Star Wars, as far as personal stuff, I think when it comes to I think education, and I've worked in hospice. I've worked in counseling, and I have a special needs son. So certain things will absolutely set me off, and people in my household know what those are. And when I start humming that Amazing Grace, shit's on. Like um, I just there's certain things I do, like when it comes to education, it's proper education. We don't have proper education in the United States, and I feel like that's something that's starting to reflect in our society and how people interact. There's a lack of conversations among people. Like, okay, Lee, I swear to you, have you ever like tried to have a conversation with someone and it's so uncomfortable because they don't know how to reciprocate it? Like,
Oh yes, yes.
woo.
It is. You start talking about something civil, and we'll use the Star Wars for example, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the one I'm sure everyone here and everyone in the chat could definitely relate to. You try to have that intelligent conversation where you give points, and then they're supposed to give points back, but instead it's become they get awkward. They think you're attacking them, and they just start to attack. And I think that's why a lot of these communities started springing up. That's why I got people in the chat here, and that's why we've all started our channels. Is because, like you were saying, the conversations have become awkward and tense.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just sit down and talk with anyone like we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the bases for me starting originally Lee Talks. Was I
Right.
wanted a place where I can interview you guys. We can go back and forth and talk about things because, like you said, the conversations are uncomfortable. The
Oh god.
silence is deafening. The way people look at you is like you have a
Yeah.
third head. It's
It's really
fucking
weird.
weird.
People are very strange, and it's like I noticed this in the last, I would say, 10 years. It's been this slow progression of people not being able to have, like, online everyone can have a conversation because you have no choice, right? That's the only way you're going to be able to like communicate. um but when it comes to in person, I noticed like it's just empty conversation to the point where it's beyond just talking about the weather. It's more like fucking nothing. Like it's osmosis of just reality. You're like, well, looks like this person's alive. That's good, But as far as an actual conversation, I was noticing like the struggling. There was the inability to build rapport, the inability to have a good sense of humor and not to take everything so literal to the point of detail of a joke. And humor, like I grew up with a very like open household where we were all like, humor was pretty much the go-to. It was how things were handled with stress. It was how when bad things would happen, that's what we lent on. And um I'm used to that. So like with humor, I make a lot of jokes and I laugh a lot because I find everything pretty hilariously awful. you know, when things are bad, I'll laugh because it's that bad. You're like, well, this is like a dumpster fire. But you can either get really, really pissed off and not do anything about it, or try to take something out of that situation and make it positive and make a joke out of it to some extent. Because some of the things that we're seeing, majority, I would say, in the media, and also in how, let's say, daily lives are being run, is sad and humorous all at the same time. I think when we stop connecting to other people in a realistic, real life setting, the internet's changed that completely. I mean, um, it's one of those things where you're not really sure where this is going to go unless something changes, and we actually start having like not just fun conversations about media, but actually having real conversations about how it's affecting our community, how it's affecting our schools and our the future. Because in the end, even if someone doesn't chooses not to have kids, my kids are going to run your nursing home. So um, you better be worried a little bit about some of these kids that are out there and help each other. And I don't really see age. I always ask someone how old they are so I understand where they're coming from. Because are they are they in high school? Are they in college? Are they working? Are they living at home? Are they living abroad? Whatever they're doing. And it's not because I'm like, oh well, they're this age, therefore they're this person. I don't believe that. I think there's a maturity level, and emotional maturity supersedes physical age. So I've talked to kids who are super, I mean, ahead of their time. They're very young, and I'm like, wow, look at you. I'm like, this is like you're like a little thespian, and you're only like 18 or 25. And my eldest son, his friends, he has quite a few of them who they're super intelligent. They come from difficult backgrounds, or they have hardships in their family because maybe there's a divorce or a death, right? And they just want to talk. These kids just need to be able to talk in a like you and I are talking. I mean, obviously,
Yep.
you're talking to an avatar right now, and you'd see a squirrel otherwise. But but to have a conversation, and I think that's one of the biggest draws I have with people is like I don't like anyone speaking on my behalf or my gender's behalf, or as a general consensus. I don't like that at all. So if people try to talk on my behalf, for example, say, well, women are like this, man, that is not true. I think the problem with a lot of people is they get stuck on titles and name calling. Like if somebody were to call me a bunch of things, which has happened, who knows? Who knew?
The
um,
squirrel insults are real.
oh yeah. Um, you get your insults and things like that, but that doesn't define me. I just think I'm going to do what I'm going to do despite what you say or think, because in my mind, it's like I had to deal with a lot of weird shit when I was younger with adults, quote, adults in quotations. And I had to be the adult many times. And I didn't really like that. I was like, well, this sucks. But I didn't let the name calling get to me or any of that stuff, because in the end, these are very unhappy people in the end, right? No matter who's saying bad things, or I don't feed into the troll like SGW stuff. I don't interact too much with that because I realize it's not going to do any good. Especially when someone is so, what do you call it? Indoctrinated or, um,
Close-minded.
yes, closed minded, pack mentality, collectivist, that
Yep.
there's no way you're going to talk to them. But I still, I have friends that are liberal, extreme left, even in some cases, and they are rough some days to talk to because things are just, they take things very deeply. And the thing is in the end, and I'm saying this in a general term, so is that I do think everyone wants the better for our country in one way, shape, or form. They want what's best for other people in one way, shape, or form, but it's the responsibility of that not everyone is willing to take on. They just want to bitch, but they don't want to actually take that responsibility fully on. And that means stepping outside of your comfort zone to make a change and not just following the collectivist thinking, whatever that is. I don't care if it's in our community. I don't care if it's in the leftist or the extreme right or the middle. Don't get yourself hooked up on titles and groups. And just try to see people as individuals and not as a collectivist, because the moment you start going in that, it's very dangerous, and then you can't have a conversation, then it gets all stupid.
And
um
most people have been on our late nights, and some of the people here in the chat are also ones who come by our late night talks, or they'll be in the panel themselves. And that was the so me and PB started late night uh, talks, and from going through the videos, we started with just maybe one or two, three people in our
mhm,
chat, just shooting the shit. And our idea was we wanted to have a place where we could joke on each other, where we could talk about these serious topics but have a funny spin to it. And to your point, it's to open up conversation.
right.
I want people in our chat, and I want people on the panel to be able to, not feel constrained by saying the wrong thing and pissing someone else off. And, I love all of the main channels as everyone else does. We're all subscribed to the Ethans, the Geeks and Gamers, and things like that. But even sometimes there's things that people ripped on about. And I wanted to start something that wasn't like that, where people could just come and have a great time.
Hmm.
They can have fun. And I think people recognize that. And that's what we need more of, whether it's the community of the blue-haired freaks, as I like to call them, or
Hmm.
our community. We can't get locked into topics and things. I feel like we've got to branch out. There's so much in the world to talk about. There's
Hmm.
so many things to be happy about and to discuss and to go back and forth on. When we start getting held onto one topic or one specific thing, we start, like you said, getting that collective thinking. We start getting that hive mind thinking, like it's us against them.
And that
The
gets
only
dangerous.
way you win that is if you bring facts and logic. And if you're branching out into other things. If you're having discussions, without discussions, we're just all the same. We're all in a giant bubble.
Right. And I think when when you have too many people in a bubble, and that's either for or against a certain movement, you start to lose that middle ground of being able to decipher, okay, like finding a temperature to reality. you know, some people are just not in touch with reality. Here's the thing: it's like in our life, like high school is a limited window, right? It's a small window in our lives. Then you go into college. That is a small window in college. Um, but they're going into the real world where there's real consequences and there are real forms of um, prejudice. Okay, where it's not this black and white. I feel like we were living the '60s for a generation on its way out the door, and I think that's dangerous because your job as an adult, like we talked about this before, actually, as parents, your job as a parent or an adult is to prepare your children or your community for the world without you in it. And that's
Hmm.
a very humbling thing to think about, but it's true. You want to be able to, I don't know, not burn the house down that you're handing off. And maybe it's me. um, but it's one of those things where you have to talk to everybody. You can't just say, "Oh well, we're only in this age group. We can't talk to anybody outside of this age group." And I have friends. I shit you not, because I do a lot of stuff online, but I involve myself in different um I do like the, what do you call it? The Reddit Secret Santa every year because I fucking love it. It's stupid. Yeah, I get it. But I love the Secret Santa thing and I have a lot of fun, so who cares in the end? Some people are like, oh, that whatever. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine and she was like, oh, you're doing that Reddit thing. And I said, yeah, I've been doing it for like ever. And I was, and of course there's younger people and older people I've, sent stuff to, and you meet a lot of people. I do it overseas a lot too. So I've had, Secret Santas in Poland and and a few in Germany. And I was telling her all about it. She's like, well, I don't understand it. And she's my age, man. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm like, what are you, 90? You don't know how to clicky click? Like, I don't understand. But it's this, there's a lot of detachment as people are getting older from the internet. And I understand that, you have real lives, you have, quote, real duties in the real world, but you have to stay in touch with the internet to some extent so you understand what's going on generationally. And you can stay in touch with technology because that's changing all the time. And I was a I used to build computers when I was first got my first computer. I built my computer and I got into technology rather quickly, and I'm quite aware of all the weird changes with privacy and um, oddities. Let's say that oddities and hacking, weird stuff like that. So I pay attention to news, and like Perp Minded, he's fantastic when it comes to technology. Like he keeps an eye on all the new models coming out. He does a lot of live streams, like when they do the production, hoo ha presentations with the fucking fireworks and shit. But Perp does an outstanding job keeping in touch with technology because you need to. And whether or not I give a damn about the product doesn't mean anything in the end. Meaning, like, am I going to buy that? No, probably not. But at least I understand, what technology is coming out. Like whether that's the rollable screens that are coming out or the foldable ones. It's crazy. There's all types of stuff going on in Japan, which makes us feel like what, we're 50 years behind. So I
All the
don't know.
time.
All the time, man. They're like, "Oh, we've already had holograms, like, serving people in restaurants, You want sushi? We got a hologram for that." I mean, it's just that kind of edge of technology, how quickly it's going, and I think you don't need to be on top of every single thing, but you obviously need to stay in touch with what the heartbeat of your community is, and unfortunately, the internet's taken over that public square that we used to have in person, so now this is the reason why we don't talk, most people don't know their neighbors, so we do it online. So we're replacing a lot of stuff in our culture and community with the internet. So it's like, okay, you have to understand the internet because it's taken over so much. And I've met a lot of fantastic people. I'm still friends with people. I did a lot of online gaming because that's kind of like why I had a computer. Was I was doing online gaming a lot, and I have friends I've known for, God, 15 plus years from like Star Wars Galaxies and things like that. And um, became like long time, I would say best friends in many cases. And you meet a lot of neat people. And I love the internet for that reason because I was able to, back in the day, I could go. Um, back in the day, like I'm fucking ancient. But
That's all right. I say that
this is
too.
so terrible. Back in my day, we had electricity, but it wasn't. We had to have water, and we ran it through a vice. Yeah, it's terrible. But uh, but as you get older, though, it's like you see. I mean, I was online dating when I in the very beginning because it was easier than going to a bar. When I had to work full time and stuff like that, I was like, well, shit, I can just do this, and it was very easy to like be smart about it. Obviously, not like a hooker or some shit, but like just make things public and have fun. And I meet a lot of people. Went to used to use that. Remember Meetup? Like when that
Oh
first.
yeah. Oh
Oh my
jeez.
god! So I went to a couple of those with some because it was for gamers, for communities. Because back in my day, early on gaming, internet gaming was like network. So if you wanted to like play multiplayer, you had to network computers. Well, I was at the tail end of this, okay, and I was still in high school, and so people would get all their computers together and we'd meet other gamers through Meetup and network, computers in one household and play because that's the only way you could multiplayer. Now you could do it on the internet. Fantastic. So, I mean, I was on a lot of older games and stuff like EverQuest and
I was
um,
just gonna say EverQuest. Yeah,
yeah,
I was
EverQuest.
on there.
I came into EverQuest at the tail end of EverQuest One, which is like you go back to it now, it's like super ghetto looking. But then
Oh yeah.
went into EverQuest Two, and it was supposed to be this huge like step up, which it was, but there was a lot of bugs and problems with servers, and I think that pushed away a lot of people, and they went to World of Warcraft, which it started out, I think, a couple 2 to 3 years or something into EverQuest 2, and all of a sudden it took away all the players, and so a lot of platforms started to kind of die off because of World of Warcraft, to be honest, because they took the same. Actually, I feel like the complete carbon copy of what EverQuest was, and said, "Well, let's do it, but World of Warcraft style."
Oh
Um,
yeah, that thing was like crack when it came out. I literally was like an
hmm
addict. I had to actually I had to actually like wean myself off of there, and I'm like my friends are like the new expansion. I'm like, don't talk to me. I'm going cold turkey. I got to get off of this because it's like controlling my life. had a um I
You're
had
not
a
kidding.
warlock, an undead warlock,
Oh
and
well.
oh
Oh
yeah.
wow, undead. I like the undead characters a lot because they just look. I don't know. They like the way they look. I think that's the biggest thing, the cosmetic appeal. So I had like a couple's undead. Like I had a necromancer, and he was an asshole. I made him an asshole. So like he would just like, I would go up to people and just fuck with them constantly, like trolling before they start limiting your abilities to do castings on people. So I was doing shit to people in that game under my necromancer asshole, but it was so much fun. And I think that early days I've tried to go back and like, you know what I mean, go back to it and grab that same feeling, and it's been really difficult because now I went back to WoW like 4 years ago, 3 years ago now, and it was horrific. Um, it was not. It was very much like thought infused crazy shit where like all the there's so many whoring going on in that game. It's like, oh, I just want to play, I just want to play. I don't want to get. And I made a mistake. I made a terrible mistake, and this is before I understood like the furry community. I made it.
Oh.
I made the panda, okay, and I regretted that. My poor panda, she was sexually harassed, and everyone's a freak. I'm like, why are you got to be a freak to my panda? She was a sad panda, man. I got the hell out of there. I was like, I'm not doing this again. And there were all these people messing with her. They're like, hey there, you wanna, do you RP, do you RP, role play? And I'm like, well, yeah, but what the hell do you want? Like, I'm already paranoid because I had already had weird shit happen to me, in that game where they're just come out of you. I mean, you'll get like, they'll come up to you out of nowhere. They'll find you on the map and show up and they're like trying to reenact some kind of porn they saw or something. It's so fucking weird. I'm like, ew, dude, I didn't know about the furry community until that. Like, truly, I had heard about it, but I didn't understand how bad it was. And then I got the hell off, so I haven't been back there since. I'm like, I feel bad for her. I'm like, I was like, well, I have to switch her basically her race, and then go. I have to get the hell away from anything that's replicating a furry at this point. I'm so pissed off these assholes ruined it because I think the panda's awesome. I'm like, oh, she looks so cool. But
And
yeah.
before we continue, I just wanted to address some people in the chat. We
Mm.
had Antoinette Camp Levitate yet? Welcome back. Said Zod, you're always doing midnight streams and stuff. Please tell me, please tell us you're getting at least 5 hours of sleep, right? At times, not so much these days, but I will be back to a normal sleep schedule. And thank you. I think the hat is awesome. We had some comments about the furries. Papa Barry Ray put, oh no, not the furries. And the Senate said, the furry community is fucking weird.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Panda. Lonely Banter said, I I am a victim of furry assault. And we have Snowdub and Tank Engine Jeremy joined the
Oh,
chat. Welcome,
hello,
guys.
sirs.
It is good
Hello.
to see you. Welcome to the Fandom Talks. And yes, Snowdub, gender check.
Oh
We're
God.
all one gender here.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, yeah, the furry thing. It's that I don't know. That was like I was not prepared for that. I was like, I am not doing this again. I can't believe I did this to myself. And I was talking to a few people in my house. I was like, you know what? This is not what I expected. I signed up for some weird shit. I did not realize I was like instantly gonna be harassed because I'm a panda. Are you fucking serious? Um, like out of all the characters they could sexually harass, they were sexually harassing a furry panda. Are you serious? Oh no. So anyway, but yeah, I mean I do love like I was playing I played Elder Scrolls Online for a while. That is fantastic.
It is. I
It,
like Elder
it
Scrolls.
is. I'm gonna go back to it. I'm definitely going to return. I was playing Star Trek Online for a while, which I really love. That's just more detailed driven. So if you are a Star Trek fan, it's like to me, I love it a lot. I cannot stand the fact that they have Discovery in there. I think that's a waste. Um, no appeal to it whatsoever. They should just burn it down, put it somewhere else. It ruins the quality of the game because they're adding like side quests that are Discovery related, and it just doesn't even feel like Star Trek, honestly. But yeah, so I'm probably gonna go back to Elder Scrolls. That is beautiful. Like it is one of the most visually appealing games I've played in a long time, and I think I liked the idea that when they first rolled it out, it was all going to be everyone was going to play on one server. So that meant, oh, you can tell your friend you're going online. They just automatically be able to be there. But they had a lot of problems with their servers when they first rolled out Elder Scrolls because I was in beta testing for that, and then after that, I went into actually paid. Eventually, I went into paid subscription for it, and it was worth it. I took a hiatus for it for a while because I was like, yeah, I need to do stuff like raise my kids and you
Yeah,
know,
and see, I've switched to mobile. Everyone asks me, like, you know,
mm,
Zah, why are you doing mobile? I mean, because they're big money pits. Some of them are, but I found my niche. There's like two or three games I stick with. One is anyone who knows me, and I know PB's now in the chat, so he's gonna go fucking Zod. But I play Strike Force. Huge fan. I got a pretty decent crew I'm a part of now. As a matter of fact, we got Raids and Wars going on right now. But
oh, nice.
yeah, you can assemble Marvel heroes, and right now they're rolling out Fantastic Four. But I got all of Spider Verse. I just unlocked Sinister Six and Brotherhood, and it's like one of those things where it's so expensive to build characters. You kind of got to focus one at a time. So I built up my Brotherhood, and I got Magneto, and that's been my focus right now.
Mm,
But I think my crew is ranked out of like there's like right now like 50,000. So I'm lying for this game. I think we're rated in like the top 10,000. So
wow.
it's a struggle. Yeah, I gotta play it virtually every day because it's one. It's like it's just like any other online game. If you
Hmm.
don't contribute with your alliance, you drop off the ranks. So I've been doing that. I do DBZ Dokkan Battle. Um,
Okay.
I've got a stellar crew. I got like all of the anniversaries, and I got God Goku and Vegeta and all that, and I think right now the other one I'm currently into is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because
Oh,
nostalgia.
really? I haven't.
Yeah.
I saw that, but I was like, "Oh, what is this?" I haven't played that at all. I saw it on the mobile. I had to step back from the mobile app gaming because there's so many traps in that. You're like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah.
oh look, I have this really cool game, but you have to put X amount of money, and I've done that in certain games. I'm like, okay, now that I've embarrassed myself,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not.
in Strike Force, I've dropped at least 200 into it
Oh
just to
my
stay
god.
competitive, and I'm not even considered a whale. Like they got classes, like they got dolphin, they got like sharks, and then they got whales, and I'm like somewhere in between that because I dropped enough money to where I could almost make the like second echelon, but not enough to be a whale because whales will drop on every single like special offer, and you know when you come across a well team because they got an astronomical amount of health and attack, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not gonna win this one. But you know, yeah, those mobile games are a trap, which is why I like your like the PC and the PlayStation and Xbox
Mhm.
communities where you don't have to drop as much. But what do you think about the way that PlayStation and them seem to be going with the? There's been a lot of stuff, especially EA games and the loot
Oh.
boxes and shit like that.
Oh man, EA first off, man, let me just state this are like the worst fucking company ever. Um, they've just gotten worse and worse over time. Because I was I am still a Sims fan. Like I love the Sims. I remember I played the Sims, the first one, and then played Sims Online, and then I did all of the Sims like games. And I don't care. I love that game. There's so much stuff to do with it, and they're they are their own entity with Maxis, but they are under EA. So because of this, I had to deal with EA a lot with like hacking issues and other problems like with either downloads. And this is back before they actually got a quote decent system. But I don't like the pay to play. I don't like the what is it? Pay to win. Let's say that in that
Pay to
way.
win a lot.
And buying the loot box, it's a waste of money because what they're trying to do is embark on the same thing they did with mobile. Where like
Yep.
you're doing the same shit. And my daughter plays Animal Jam, and it has similar things, but at least she can play to a great extent. But it's subscription based type game where you can like they have their own form of loot boxes, but it's not. It's at least you know what you're getting. So I will argue that it is a better platform for kids in that way, where oh well, I want to get this specific item, not a generalized box of shit like you had with uh god, well, not just EA, but I mean PlayStation. I'm kind of going that direction, saying, well, it's not the same, and it is. I mean, unless you're specifically saying what items are in that particular box that you're going to be giving to that person, like at least with Xbox, when you're buying certain things for the game, you know what additional content you're going to be buying. There at least there's that clarity. But if you have anything that has a question mark next to it and they're just like a loot box, it's in that.
Don't do it. It's a trap.
It is absolutely a trap because you're going to have to get X amount, and who knows, you might luck out on one, but then you're going to end up dropping like you said, easily spend quite a bit of money just for loot boxes, and they're not cheap. It's like I don't know. It's a terrible move. I know as far as like capitalistically, it's a smart move to make money for these companies because people become addicted to games like they would like cocaine or drinking. So of course they're going to go and spend that money because they get obsessed with progression or leveling or ranking. Um, but I think I miss the days of buying the platform game, dropping, I think the most I spent on a platform game was like $60-$70 for a
Yep.
PC game. And then you play it all the way through. There was, every now and then they'd have like certain things pop up where they'd have like, specialized content or maybe a special edition of something. And you could make a decision if you wanted to purchase that or not. Um, that's what a lot of these free to play games are like. Star Trek Online is like that. Where yeah, you could do the subscription, but if you want certain things, you're going to have to spend out of pocket. It's free to play, but you're going to have to pay in this way or that way, or even to get certain missions opened, which they're not as bad at as some of the free to play games. But in the end, though, yeah, it's it's a whole nother reality now of gaming. So I miss the days of just buying the platform game, playing it through, then doing expansions. And they've seemed to be getting away from that because I mean World of Warcraft is heading in a downward spiral. Whether or not they, with every expansion they've had, I was reading like the last 3 years, especially when they've had a couple expansions come out. Because I remember the last big expansion they had that I was even excited about because I was currently playing was the Death Knights.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my god, that was fantastic. And I replayed that section of the game like so many times, with different characters, trying to just get the new Death Knights or whatever. Because I think you were limited on certain accounts and all this shit. But it was a lot of fun. I think they did a fantastic job with that. But everything after that just kind of never really met up to that standard, that excitement that came with that. And it was really well done. Did you have a Death Knight? Did you play that at all?
I didn't get a chance to play it. I heard like rave things and it almost made me come back, but I was like, nah, because at that time I started. I've actually been playing Strike Force now for quite a while. It's been out for a while, so I was like in the beginning of playing that. I'm like, if I split my attentions, then I'm not going. I'm going to be doing two different things at once and playing an absorbent amount of money. But
Hmm.
I did want to address the sayings that
Thank
General
you.
Zod. I played the Marvel game. I have different accounts because I want to save crystals, and you know what? I know lots of people who've done that. It's just kind of a pain in the ass because then when you start different accounts, you essentially start over. So it's like you wind up like kind of resetting everything. So
Hmm.
I've stuck with my one main. I did have a backup account a while ago, but yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I didn't get back into WoW because it's become a big money pit. And that's the thing about, like you were saying, I miss the good old days where you just paid $60 and you can complete a game through. And now it's like the demand for players for more content on games they love has become great, which has been a good and a bad thing because all these expansion packs come out, but you buy a game for 60,
Hmm.
you get maybe a good expansion pack with additional content for 20, but the story it doesn't add anything to. And
Oh,
I'm the kind of player that likes story. Like
right.
the only game I've ever played that has a non-linear story has been Marvel Strike Force, and they've been up to date with the movies that have been
Okay.
coming out, which is why I follow
Right.
them because they do release a campaign for the movies. Like when Ant-Man and Wasp came out, they released Wasp, and you can go
Hmm.
on. It was called like Into the Microverse, and it was just for those specific characters, and it was a brand new storyline for Fantastic Four. They have Doctor Doom, and you go through and you meet different Fantastic Four people and play with them and get to see their powers.
Yeah.
Um, but like I miss the days where you get like a Call of Duty, a Fallout, a Skyrim, and the expansions were worth it. You pay that $20, which got like new armor, new
Hmm.
quests.
And then,
I loved Skyrim's like the
oh, Skyrim.
vampire. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I literally dumped years into that game, like, and I don't even think I've completed everything.
Oh no. I mean, that's the thing of that's the Elder Scrolls, like especially the online. There were so many things. Like in the beginning, it wasn't as full, obvious reasons, but over time, it's developed all these smaller quests, these larger quests, all these types of things. It looks. I was so impressed with how well it was written, how well the game looked in game, how it felt. It had that excitement that I was looking for with
Yep.
I swear to you, it was like for a multiplayer online game, it was gorgeous, and it just and even Skyrim, it has all the same. Because in the beginning, I'll be honest with you, I had not played Skyrim prior to Elder Scrolls Online. After I played Elder Scrolls Online, I went and checked out Skyrim, and I was blown away. I was like, "This is amazing," and I when I was growing up, I was on Nintendo. So I had Nintendo, GameCube. I kept with all those, and I didn't have an Xbox or PlayStation for a long time. And then, yeah, one of my exes, he had a PlayStation, and I remember when Final Fantasy came out, like, and then
Oh, that was.
oh my
I
god,
will fight anyone. Like Final Fantasy was like my favorite RPG. I rank it as one of the greatest, barring the last like two of them. That's
hmm,
been a pretty stellar, even series. I've loved the stories. My favorite. I fall into the Final Fantasy 7
yeah,
because 7 was just amazing. The characters, the character development, the powers, the way you could like
the music.
combine powers.
That was one of those. I mean, for all the games that came out with the Final Fantasy, series, that one just kind of set it. It was like a step up in a whole different way. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to explain that, but it just stuck with people more. It was more they took a lot and they ran with it. And I think that's the thing about games. You should always be pushing forward, not just spitting out crap like Call of Duty bullshit. You know, like um, I've heard this enough. We have a lot of gamers in this household. Like my eldest is a big he plays Siege and Call
Uh,
of Duty. Oh man, the violence with Siege. Anyway, I hear a lot of yelling. Um, but they've been trying to work on their ranking and get their teams up and everything. And he was explaining like to me the couple nights ago like their frustrations with certain things in the game and stuff like that. But I think with the shooter genre, that's it's a very limited. It really does depend on the story. In the end, if the story's not there, you can be shooting things all day, but it's going to be crap. So you're going to get bored with it. You're going to move on. So yeah, gaming is I raised gamers. So because I was gaming for a long time, that was my go-to. I didn't go out and drink and party. I would sit at home and drink and play my game. I'm like, sorry guys, I can't go out to the bar tonight. I have my guild needs me. That's my life right there. So but I did that for a long time when I was in my 20s, into my 30s too. And gamers come and go. Like there's certain genres. Like I have a good friend of mine. He is one of my former gaming buddies from Star Wars Galaxies, and wow, and he's on the Division right now, the new one, and it's okay. I'll say that I went into beta and I was like, this is like I was Roboto through the whole beta. I was like, this isn't gonna work because it was so bad with the lag and the server connection, and the graphics were a step up. It looked good, but it was not. It was still obviously it was in beta, so I can't give a total shit. But it's come out of beta, and I'm still not sold on it. Like there's a lot of things in there that I feel like they for a game that was so highly anticipated, it's been thrown together, and it
Yeah, that
sucks.
was like that one game Anthem.
Mm.
Bitchy
Hmm.
likes Anthem. She's got to be like one of like the very few who actually like that game. And I checked it out because there was so much controversy, and that was a clear to me. And there's another person who covers gaming that I follow, and he was talking about it. That was a symptom of what
Mm.
they're doing now, and I agreed with his statement. They put these games out that are essentially start as free to play, and as you go, they get locked behind paywalls. And he was talking about when it came out, it was so glitchy, and they were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, we're gonna patch it up." The patch uh, comes out, and they're like, "Yeah, we patched this and this, but we've still got to work on this. Yeah, the next patch is coming." And you're talking now, the game's been out for a solid year, and they're like, "Oh, no, well, we just launched it. What'd you expect? It's gonna have its bugs, blah blah blah." And it's like, motherfucker, if I'm paying for something and people pre-ordered this game, there was so much hype about it. It's like if I pre-order something and I
Hmm.
pay for something, I don't want to hear an excuse on launch day. Like, why didn't you iron out the bugs before the launch? That's crap.
Because they were thinking this was going to be a cash cow. Like they got everybody hyped up. They rolled this game out. It wasn't prepared. It looks like crap. The gameplay, as far as content, is empty in comparison to like where it should. You know what I mean? It's like they promised all of this shit and it wasn't any of those things. So I wouldn't even bother. The Senate actually was saying in chat about the loading screens.
Oh, they're atrocious. I haven't seen
Hmm.
loading screens like that since PS1.
Hmm.
When you'd wait, and
Um,
in between missions, and it's like, you go to the bathroom, make
mm,
yourself something to eat, fucking screen's still loading, but you're so
right,
jazzed up because you got a game you can complete.
right.
Where this is just like an online game, and I'm like, in this dang age,
Hmm.
you should not have. Yes, I'm dating myself, people. You should not have issues where you are waiting 20 minutes for a fucking load screen online. It should never happen. Should ne-
That's like
I
that's
don't
some dial-up
care.
shit.
You can give me a shitty game as far as maybe some of the graphics or whatever, but if I gotta wait for 20 minutes like the old days, look at a blank screen, I don't want that.
Hmm.
You know, and we got Lonely Banter says, at Mad Squirrel, you're doing an outstanding job.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. The Senate asked a question. Earlier it says, did you all play Red Dead Redemption 1 or 2? I played 1. 2, I've only well, that game I'm excited to play. Right now the eldest is taking that over. Um he's been busy with crocodiles and shit, or gators, and but yeah, like
Gators.
that is an amazing game. I like what they did because they're going to add on, I guess, eventually other sections, meaning like open up the map more, so you'll be able to travel more, right? And I like the idea of an open. I think that's the future of a lot of like the whether it be shooters or most. I would say generally, um, all games. I think is going to be open world, very similar to what we experience in like in any kind of like the RPG games where it's just you go, you choose your own adventure. Basically, you're not forced into a storyline because that's one thing I've always had an issue with in other games was being forced into a storyline where I'm like, this storyline sucks and I want to go kill shit. Like I don't want to spend 20 minutes talking to this NPC motherfucker about like getting jewels. I don't care. I don't care. You know,
I just
um,
want to go and do the killing shit.
Yes, I'm like, can I go slaughter some stuff? Can I go do a quest? And that was the reason why I liked those open world games in that sense, and that's why I loved RPG. The MMORPG in the beginning was because you had these open worlds, you could do whatever you wanted, get into shenanigans, do random shit to people, and it was exciting because it was like you were having little adventures of your own and not being, held by the hand. And I think Red Dead 2 starts that a bit. I'm not gonna. I played portions of it, and I had fun, of course, a lot of fun, except like getting chased down by people. But it was a lot of fun. I had consequences. Who knew? So, I like the open world idea, and I believe that that's the future for most platform games is to have like that. Because I'll be honest with you, with Cyberpunk, I am not. I was really excited about Cyberpunk for years. This rumor, it lingered. I was like, okay, let's see how it looks. It looks okay. I mean, I'm not. I watched a bunch of gameplay for it that came out of like the different, presentations they had for it.
And stuff. Yep. I gotta say, I'm still sold. I'm sure you've seen my stuff on my channel. And when they announced John Wick, yes, I call him John Wick, not Keanu anymore. He's fucking John Wick.
Yeah.
When they showed Keanu helping you out, I was like, I'm getting it. I don't care. Like that's my sole reason for buying a system now. Once Cyberpunk drops, I'm in it to win it. I get every expansion, whatever. Um,
I have to watch gameplay. So if you do get it, try to stream some of your gameplay if you can.
Yeah,
Um,
I
just
definitely I don't dabble much into gaming because there's so much work. Like
mhm.
I watch a bunch of channels and when they do their stuff and it seems like really like a lot of different things you got to do to get into that
It's
area.
so
But for Cyberpunk, I may stream a live stream like
mhm.
showing everyone what it looks like and everything else because
I think
that has been the first game in years that has interested me to buy a system.
well, our it does some most it depends on what platform you use. Obviously, I use OBS when I do PC, so I mean that's for PC. But as far as like with your PlayStation has it really relatively easy to hook those things up as well as Xbox, because that's the eldest here, the eldest squirrel. He uses Xbox, and uh, my husband is Mister PlayStation Forever. We have we have a little bias in this house, but so I'm the PC master race, and the rest of them are all fighting over platforms, and but they it's very easy though. So I mean, you might be able to do that pretty simple, connection to do that. My friend's channel for UND, that Gamer Die channel that I'm on with. I haven't gamed on there in a while. But my good friend Rich, he does that. He goes on there with Fortnite. He has never played Fortnite as a preface, so the last few months, his girls were the ones teaching him, his daughters, and Rich is a really good guy. He's a very smart guy. He has it hooked up. He does PlayStation, so it's the Fortnite through PlayStation. And watching him pretty much die the first two streams consistently, and his daughter's going, "Dad," and
You're
it was
killing my
cute.
stats.
Exactly, "Dad, we were almost done," and I'm like, "Oh, Rich is taking an L because he plays Hitman. He plays a lot of games, so he's up to gaming all the time. He's always doing something new and checking out new games and releases and stuff, and going back to old favorites, of course, because that's just you have your favorites, but he does his gaming through PlayStation 2, and he also, I think he has an Xbox also that he's done some gaming on. And it was very easy, he said, to connect it. And he was like, this stuff, I wasn't sure what the hell I was doing at first with the streaming, connection thing, but it worked out just fine. So I think you'll be okay. I think you'll be all right. Um,
Yeah, I'm definitely going to the PS4 side of things. And you have a couple of comments, one from the ancient one that says, "Hey, at Mad Squirrel, if we could find an animator, we could have an animation of the squirrels fighting over platforms."
mm-hmm.
And the Senate put at Mad Squirrel, yes, PC Master Race. But sometimes I gotta be a console peasant for PS4 exclusives like
Yeah.
Spider Man.
I he made a comment. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling back. He said that the Senate, he says that's why Spider-Man PS4 is amazing, spectacular, and fucking ultimate. You know what? Yes, I will agree with that. That game looks the gameplay looks so well done. It looks so they did good changes. Like, you know what I mean, to upgrade it and
Yep.
to clean it up. It looks so nice as far as the gameplay. It's very smooth. The interactions and your, well, quote, quests, in lack of better words, everything looks well done. I actually was modding for a couple of people who were playing Spider-Man last few. Well, when it first came out, when it dropped, I was on like 3 or 4 different streams doing Spider-Man modding, and I was just watching them play for a while, and it was really well done. Everything looked so much better than the original game. The quote original game that came out.
Oh yeah, the PS2.
Yeah,
From those days.
and that was a fun. It was a great game. Don't get me wrong. When it originally came out, it just took something and made it even better. Like, honestly, it does look really well done, and yeah, that's a lot of modding. But I've done a lot of Division modding too. But the Division is of course I like harassing people. I played that with my friend, and we were just, well, I'm not to be trusted with like guns in a game. It's just like, you give me, I don't know what else to say. I'm like, oh, look, there's somewhere I can go sit and snipe people for a little while. Oops, friendly fire. But it's I mean, I'm not a huge shooter fan, so that was because I like, but I like the Division, the first one, at least I can say that, because of the multitude of missions that you pick up throughout the game, and the story is well written. Um, I have small complaints, but they're really just me being a jackass. But I love gaming. That's one thing. I know that with Stig Kenobi, he introduced me to a site for classic gaming. So it's that GOG
Yep.
GOG.com or whatever.
Yep.
Fantastic. I'm still grateful for Stig referring me to that site, man. Oh my God. So anybody who is into PC, or likewise, they have a lot of converted games on there. You can find like some really good classic platform games. Like, I found a couple games I had not seen since, oh man, since they came out, because I used to go to Best Buy back in the day, because that was where you went and got all your PC stuff.
Games. Yep.
Oh, spend like $50 on something or whatever, but get the box games basically. And I remember going there on payday and being like, okay, what new game can I, buy now? And I'd go and buy like whatever, I'd go and look at all the kind of like I got introduced to the PC gaming when I was very young. A family friend gave us a Commodore 64, and I was like really little. I was like, what is this shit? Um, but I had like Ghostbusters, and I think it's Matt and Horn Screamer, that was with like Goofy from Disney. And
Wow.
yeah, dude, it's old. And over time, I got into Nintendo. Super Nintendo was like the best thing ever made when I was young. I was like, this is amazing. And of course, like, you got the shitty upgrade. Well, no, not shitty upgrade. I guess when you got to the Nintendo 64, that was pretty decent. You saw a great change. But then you went to the GameCube, and I was like, these assholes, because they were competing against at the time PlayStation, and PlayStation 2 was just like top tier, top shelf system, and you could do a lot with it. Play DVDs, play CDs, whatever, and on top of it, play your games. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and the thing that GameCube did have was they did one great thing that I loved, and it was when they remastered the Resident Evils. Like
Oh, mm-hmm.
that was some master class work. Like the Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 0 that came there. And I want to say they had shit like Resident Evil 4. They had just gotten that license for the GameCube, and those were just outstanding stuff.
Oh yeah.
And at the Senate put best Mario game, go.
Well, I will agree with him. Mario Galaxy was absolutely fun. That was the one I went back to. I like Mario Kart though. I mean that's super, like every version of it I've been pretty happy with. But then there was, I'm trying to think of the, like the Mario Maker. I played that more than a few times. No, if
Well,
I wait.
Senate, I'm gonna take you back. Mario 64.
Oh, okay. Super Mario 3 was another great one. I like that one a lot.
Oh yeah.
I like the whole like Tanuki stuff going on. I was like, what the fuck? Um, but yeah, I like the Mario 3, and I like as far as all the other like games that have come out over the years, like Mario Party was fun, you know, for because we would do that. We would put that on for like our old like I'm a terrible person. I'd be like, come on, mom, let's do this. And I know that like she'd get irritated with it and pissed. So that's why I do it. So I were like, let's play this together. And I get like several of the adults and then just let them go. It would be like a bloodbath by the end of it. I'm like, well, I don't know. I didn't know that was coming. Oh,
Fatal J is in the chat, and he says, "I
hey.
remember playing long hours on Ape Escape and Crash Bandicoot Kart." I feel you on those.
Mm,
Those
mhm,
were I had a PS1, PS2, Xbox 360, PS3. I did all of those, and I did the GameCube and the N64. I mean, you know, they were those were the big things for me. And I did the PlayStation because at the time they had the exclusive with Capcom, so I used to play the Marvel versus Capcom and all those fighters. And I also did the Resident Evils and the Final
mm.
Fantasy. So that was my main reason for having the PlayStation. But like I had the edition of the PlayStation 2 where it was backwards compatible, and it was hard to find because they only did so many units low key. And I actually found it in the military at a used game store when I was in Norfolk, Virginia. And I got one of the backward compatible PS2s.
What?
Yep. There's only like I want to say like 150 units they ever did, and then
Yeah.
for some reason they stopped doing them, and I had one of them. So I would once I got it, I played Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, it was magnificent. It didn't change the graphics, but it did help with the load speed. So like loading
Oh,
screens were like so quick.
I remember that. I remember the classic like loading screens, but the thing about that game when it was loading is like you got so excited because you're
Oh
like, okay, this is
yeah.
it. This is it. You guys, okay, go to the bathroom. You know, like you're like, this is it. Um, but yeah, like it's amazing how far gaming has come as far platform and PC and just the development of it. And I know that they're trying to push it away more from the PC, which I'm like, don't be an asshole because you're always gonna have that PC master race out there like us, you know. And I don't
Yep.
care, you know. I'll go and play on different platforms, but yeah, I agree. It was Tommy in chat said I'm not a much of a shooter fan. I agree, I'm not either. I get bored. I don't mind like if I'm in a group, it's more about fucking with people at that point. It's more about that because if I was doing it alone, I'd be bored. I'd be like, oh, this is not fun. Because you can only shoot people in the face so much. I think you just have to have more elaborate ways of doing it. And no,
See, I just
violence in
love
video games are
cursing
not
people
connected.
out. There's like there was times when my ex would come in and I'd be on I think the last Call of Duty was like Call of Duty Black Ops 3. I'd be on
Oh,
Black Ops 3, my character decked out, and some little shit would come and be camping. And I'd be like, "You little motherfucker, I'm gonna come and fucking find where you live, and I'm gonna kill you and everyone in your house."
oh my god.
My ex would be coming in and she'd be like, "What the fuck? Get off the game!" She's like,
Yeah.
"Let me hear a kid." Like, how old are they? I go, they're 10, but they know what they're saying. This little prick has been trolling me this whole fucking game.
Oh my god! You're like, yeah. I think we've seen the reveal of your intentions with gaming that night, where you're like, oh, this email, I don't use this one. This is for something else.
Yeah,
I'm
oh
like,
my god, so many of my emails got banned from like Xbox has banned me like 2 or 3 different times.
yep,
I've had
yep,
to. That's why I have so many email accounts because I had to switch email accounts and get them again. Because it'd be like, I hate fucking campers, man, and that was always my problem with
yeah.
Call of Duty. You get your team and you'd have this one prick camping on like the other side of the map, just sitting there with their fucking sniper rifle, and they had that choke point. So as soon as you came out, bam, and you guys dead. Or the most annoying was when they would camp by your respawn, and you only had 2 fucking respawns in the whole map. So either you were gonna end up here or there, and they had someone covering both ends. So
Hmm.
I get like right out of the base, and bam, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
son of a bitch.
Campers are assholes. I'm like, oh my god. Like like as far like the worst campers I remember were, I was on a PvP server, and this is a long time ago. It was for, I think it was for WoW. Oh god, I was so pissed off. This dude was camping because I needed to loot my body, and the son of a bitch was over there. So I had to have 2 of my friends come in and take him because he was like a way high level asshole. He was just looking for easy kill. It was like he was just doing it for the sake of it, and he was sitting there camping. And then
Oh, I hate those guys
and I
where
was like, "You
they're
asshole! Like I just need to loot my body. Can you fucking move?" No, you're not. You're gonna kill me before I even touch the body. Then there's that fear, right? That you're gonna lose your shit the more you get killed. I'm like, no, no. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. I had to go recruit people that had higher level characters. I was like, can you please just get this asshole away from my body so I can get my shit? But it like I don't like campers in that. I don't like campers in shooters either because that ruins it. But then again, I've been that asshole occasionally, so I can't say so much.
yeah,
Like if I
COD
really
was
have a
the
vendetta,
like
Squirrel
I
get
like
nasty night.
some of the newer Call of Duties for the fact that they've made the classes so diverse that really the sniping class has become harder to be because they
Hmm.
got invisibility and all sorts of drones and shit. So like now the days of sitting back in a corner, you can send like a little drone out and find the prick and then come up behind them and kill them. But back in the day, man, they didn't have that shit,
No.
especially Modern Warfare 2. I love that game, but pissed me off so much because it was like if you were good at sniping, which I would be, I'd have my sniper and then, or I'd have my sniping rifle and then my 9mm for close encounter, so a shotgun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I what I do is on that airport level, I would put I would camp in the plane like everyone did, but I would set a bunch of like mines and shit because once you took a shot,
Yeah.
everyone knew where you were. So I had these people coming in like, oh, we're gonna get them, and boom, and then I turn around behind me because I know the rest of the team ain't too far behind.
Hmm.
So
Like what is it? They were playing Siege and they were doing missions with helicopters the other night, and I was watching because it was with my brother-in-law and my eldest Squirrel, and then nephew, and then 2 of his friends. They're all on this team together doing this particular mission, right? And they miss the platform landing every time, and I keep hearing my eldest go motherfucker, and I'm like, oh well, that didn't go well. Um, and because he would hit like my son is older. He would people were like, this isn't a 10-year-old cursing. Let me tell you this. Um, but yeah, he would hit every time, like outside the building, outside the building, outside the building, and eventually you start hearing the rage, and then they had switched it out, and my brother-in-law is like former army ranger, went into the air force, that kind of thing, so he was all over the place doing all kinds of stuff that he still does not, things we do not speak of. But he gets in one of the tanks, or he gets in something. All of a sudden, he's got like this game face on, and he's like, "I'm going for your family." I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Who is that?" He's like, "Oh, that's so and so." And I'm like, "Holy shit!" He had a whole nother voice, man. He went into the zone. He was out there. He was reliving some shit in that moment, man. Because he gets out there, he's like, "I'm taking them all. Fuck them." I'm like, "Okay." And they're like 10-year-olds. You know, these are 10-year-olds. You're like 9 and 10-year-olds out there being little squeakers running around, and he's
Who's
plucking
this
them.
crazy bastard?
Oh yeah, and they're like they went into voice chat. You hear all these kids like bitching. They're like, he was mean. I told him, I said, wow, you're just like a fucking tyrant. He's like, I don't give a damn. Fuck those kids. I was like, wow, man.
I know.
Damn.
I used to get when I used to play Call of Duty, man. My
Uh,
ex literally had to take my headphones away from me and fucking hide them because like she'd leave in it. So I would go into my gaming mode. I'd go in, and, you know, these little brats come on. I'd be like, "You little motherfucker!" and
oh
we'll
yeah.
fucking kill you. And be like, "You won't." And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, well, go ahead and get mommy and daddy's credit card. I'll shove it up your ass."
Oh my god. The rage is
Oh
real.
man, I said some brutal things. I had some kids crying. I remember one day I yelled at this kid so much because like he got real with it and started calling me like actual names, and like a prick and like all this like really creative stuff. And I'm like, "How old are you?" I go, "Your balls haven't even dropped yet, and you're sitting here."
Yeah.
And
It's amazing.
he
It's
was
like
like,
crazy, man. These kids, they get on there and it's like the tribalistic nature of human beings comes out in fucking shooters. Like you see
"Oh
some
God."
shit, and like I pissed one dude off because I was he had been fucking following me around. I don't remember what I was playing. Might have been Call of Duty. It might have been Battlefield. I don't remember, but I had a good time. I don't give a shit. It might have been Battlefield, but I really pissed him off because I sniped him like 6 times, and I don't know how that happened. Wink, wink. But he went on a mission to find me, and I hear and like I hear a distant voice chat. You know, like he went on voice chat and he was like, "Where the fuck are you? I'm gonna fucking do this." And I could hear that tone. I was like, "Oh my!" So then I shot him in the foot, and then and then he was like, and he found out where I was, and of course he did get me, but he was so angry. And I didn't talk to him, but he thought I was like young. He assumed I was like, you know, young. He was like, "Oh, you goddamn kids, blah 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 blah, fucking rage, man, rage." And of course I laughed because that was fucking hilarious. I'm like, I'm not going on voice chat just to spite you, because you know that pissed him off more, right? When you don't go on voice to rebuttal and you don't type anything, and then you just fucking take them out again. Oh yeah, I was like, yay! But yeah, I haven't done it. I haven't gone in shooters a lot of times. It's just for that pure entertainment. But and when you were talking about earlier about how the snipers, you know, they have developed them more and they're much more of like this master class in a sense, which it should have been to some extent. Not too difficult, obviously, but gamers have gotten better at, you know, sniping and gaming in general. I was remembering like the stealth things that you could do, like when you play Elder Scrolls Online. I had a rogue, and
"Oh fucking
and
roll."
I
Oh, the bane of my existence because I play as
oh
mage
oh
and
I'm
those
sorry.
motherfuckers. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it'd
Yep.
be like I'd be with a crew doing my mage stream, you know, dropping fireballs, ice balls, whatever spell was readily available, and some motherfucker would just take me out with those combos, and I'd be like,
Mhm.
crickets, fucking rogue, and they go invisible,
Yep.
so
And that
you can't tag them because like with a lot of my spells, I'd tag people, so my spells just weren't going all over the place. And you know you can't tag someone when they're invisible.
mhm.
So by the time you figure out where the fuck the rogue was, you know half your people are dead.
I remember loving that character so much because I had made oh, I had done a couple. You know, I had like an elf, I think, and then I had oh, I'm trying to remember all the characters I had actually picked up. But I had an itty bitty little rogue. And I called her itty bitty because you know she was. I also had a Nord character, a guy Nord. He looked badass. But I itty bitty little rogue, and I would just have her like all the time. I was stealing shit from guards. Like that's all.
Oh.
So I would go and pickpocket the guards, start a riot, almost get killed. You know, and that's how I was learning how to pickpocket because I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna keep doing this until I figure out how to do this." You know, get my stealth up and at least figure out how to go a little incognito without getting my ass totally handed to me. But I started doing that more and more, and I was like, "This is fucking amazing!" And I made
Oh
so much money. It
yeah.
was really bad. But the rogues, like the stab, the stealthy or stabbing, I guess, if you will. that was amazing. Like I've started figuring that out because when you play a rogue, I think that's what's fun about a lot of those games when you have those classes that you learning new skills with each character type. It's not just generic like, oh, I'm gonna do some melee. Like, but I love the mage. I had druids in the other games I played, like half elf druids and shit like that.
Oh
But
yeah, they're pretty good. I am a traditionalist, so I went straight, just straight like kind of warlock kind of deal.
yeah.
Those kind of mages that cast the spells. I've always been a fan of that and area attacks.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because in a shooting game, I play the person who'll be in the front lines, but in the fantasy game, I like to sit back and play more of a support role or a spellcaster. And man, those fucking rogues, man,
Mm-hmm.
I started hating that fucking class because you get into somewhere good or do like a raid or some shit, and those rogues, a good rogue man will tear your team apart before you even have a chance to really do anything.
Man, when I was playing when I was playing like a mage or some bullshit, and I was watching a couple like a battle from afar because I'm a sneaky little shit. So I was hiding in the mountains, and I was watching them play, and there was a rogue taking people out, and I was like, oh
Yeah,
my god! I'm watching each like guard and whatever NPC, and they're taking them out strategically, and I'm watching them, and I'm like, whoa, that's. I mean, I was impressed because there was like I don't know 30 different guards they took out in like I don't know. It felt like about 15 to 20 minutes, and they
damn.
did it very well. Like they had it down to a science. So you're like that motherfucker's got the he has his hotkeys going. Look at that. You know, and he went and took them all out, and I was like, oh, it made my life easier too. That's why I was sitting back because I was like, fuck it, I'll let the rogue clean them out, so I don't have to go in there and like kill everybody off and then get to whatever I need to do. But it was absolutely impressive. I was like, okay, maybe I want to try a rogue. So I started bottom level rogue because it's very different in Elder Scrolls than it is in other games when you play a rogue. I mean, there's similarities obviously because you want to keep players playing, but there's a lot of different. There's a lot more strategics involved in Elder Scrolls when you're playing certain classes, and I think that's what's defining about it. I think they did an outstanding job with it, and it is a favorite game I think on my list of games. And but as far as everything else, like I've like because of Stig suggestion about the GOG website. Oh my
Yep.
god, I'm going back and reliving old games. I'm like, oh, I remember playing this because I started on PC with like other games, but I got into StarCraft and World of Warcraft, and that was more of like army based strategy.
Strategy. I love StarCraft, Zerg all day.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Um,
impressive. Like, yeah, I've been replaying certain ones. I'm going to be getting StarCraft again, hopefully soon, um, because they have all these games converted on that website, so you can play them on your PC. They're okay for like your current PCs, and that's the point. And it's outstanding. The guys who made Witcher made the website for context. So,
oh wow.
um, so they have like all of their games on there, and they're out of like I think Poland. That could be wrong, but it's European for sure. Um, but they have converted so many games. The one game I really want is Black and White, which
Oh,
was
I loved that game. I
the one
had
where
that.
you're a god. You're a
Yeah,
god. Oh god, it's so great. I don't know if it's such an old game, but it is a fun game, and the graphics for its time are pretty damn good. I just like the fact that you can throw people into the ocean.
I
And
used to throw them in a volcano.
oh, like a sacrifice. Oh, it's beautiful. Your hand. You're like, come here. I'm gonna sacrifice you. And all the villagers are like, shit. It's an angry god.
Yeah, I was never the benevolent god. I was the asshole. So like, I had a really because most people don't know that game was so multi-layered because you had the people and you had like your godlike things you were upgrading, and if you pissed off the people, it was so hard to upgrade your god stats, which
Yep.
I found out very quickly because I pissed off. I know everyone's probably shocked that I play a villain, but like I pissed off my worshippers so much because it'd be like, oh, I'm bored. You're going in the volcano. I got some energy powers now.
And then you have your creature, and that
Yep.
I love that because you could have like the game you for those. I don't know if anyone's played Black or White, Black and White, excuse me, but like the Oh man, it you have your creature, you help develop them. They, you have like a tiger, or you have different, I don't know, they have all these like hybrid looking animals that they offer, and you raise them from a young, it's like you're basically like your representative on the planet, and
Yep.
they worship it like it's a god, aka you. And it's fantastic. So my creature was always trying to eat people, and I remember like having to like grab him and like smack him. I'm like, don't eat the villagers, because he'd eat like a whole village, and I'd be like, fuck, like my stats are going down, son of a bitch, stop eating people. And so you can slap your creature or spank him or whatever you want to call it, or whatever. And of course, like he'd sulk, but all of a sudden he's like being nice to him. I'd see him like gently pick up a villager like he was going to eat them, and then be like, okay, I'll put him down. I'm like, motherfucker, don't eat the villagers anymore. That game was so much fun. I just remember spending like, oh god, average, like the when I first got it, I played the shit. I played the hell out of that game. So for like 2 or 3 weeks, I beat it, at one point. But I was like, I'm playing this again, and that's the thing I miss the most about gaming is when you beat a game, wanting to play it again.
The replayability
Yeah.
uh, for games is just not what it used to be. It's like a lot of these games now, and I've had this discussion with other
Mm.
people who game and stuff like that. We're like, well, yeah, but online. And I go, well, online is really killing campaign because I'm a campaign person. Like, I love a
Mm.
game with a storyline. Like, I've taken the unpopular route with
Oh,
Call of Duties, and I've liked the campaigns. Like,
yes.
the one with Kevin Spacey was fucking amazing. I think it was Modern Warfare, or not Modern Warfare. Call of Duty Future War. It was something like that, but it had Kevin Spacey as the bad guy. Some of his lines, I swear to God, was like it was a movie
Hmm.
where he's like, I never forget. Like I watched the teaser trailer, and it was when I knew I was gonna get the game, and he was like, he goes, Americans, they want the illusion of freedom. He goes, they
Oh.
don't want to be free. He's like, they want us to tell them what they want. And I was like,
Oh.
motherfucker is bad. And he goes, I'm gonna bring this world to its knees. And
Whoa.
it was like,
Yeah.
and the story was just so amazing. It was like one of the Call of Duty games where the campaign was so epic, but it was like 8 hours. I played 8 straight hours, so I had the time clocked. I beat it in 8 hours,
Wow.
and it pissed me off because I'm like, the campaign was so good and so engaging that I could actually go through the solid 8 hours and be like, I went, paused it, went to the bathroom, got something to eat, got
Right.
back, like.
Oh yeah.
I
And
like ran straight through that campaign and got everything done. And you're like, well, you got the multiplayer, but I go, Kevin Spacey isn't in the multiplayer.
right.
I
And
played
that
that campaign like 3 times.
I think the future games is, it'll be interesting to see what direction they go into. I get bored very easily with too much, the theatricals, and stuff like that. So I'm glad that that's kind of slowly been reduced. But some games they do add in that shit. And you're like, God, I don't care. Like I just want to skip that, go to the like whatever next mission I have or campaign, like you were saying, that's a part, like the mini sides and things like that, because I'll replay certain things just so I can nail down all of the other side quests that I might have forgot about. Because I was in the zone, and I was like, no, I don't give a shit about that lady. Let her house burn, that kind of thing. So, but one of the things Senate actually asked is, do either of us play? Whether it was Fortress,
Shit, I haven't played
Team
Fortress
Fortress
in
2.
years.
I have not. Um, I know a couple of people who have. Hello, Generation Productions, and hello, Tommy. Sorry.
Hello.
Also the Senate asked about Diablo. Man,
Diablo,
I
I've lost years to that game.
yes, I I love Diablo. Um, from like the beginning. I remember like when I first heard about it, I was like, what the hell is this all about? Because I got into a lot of like Baldur's Gate, those types of games. So Diablo was just right up the alley, and I started with Diablo. And there are a lot of games that kind of start the precedents, and I think Diablo is one of them. It's just very outstanding. As far as this new shit they're trying to pull, where they're like, oh, it's all yeah, you're gonna get Diablo again, yeah, I promise. Oh, it's on mobile. Don't you have a phone, motherfucker?
Dude, when,
Oh,
when that guy's comment was classic. He's like, we're being punked right now, right? I was like,
oh yeah.
shit,
I was
I
like,
was
did he just
thinking.
say that? And he did. he was like, well, don't you guys have phones? Because he got
That's
booed
it.
because it's a
Oh,
mobile app. I'm not. No, 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 no. It's supposed to be a platform-based game. It's not supposed to be this mobile app money-making shitstorm that I'm not going to buy. I'm not. I don't care. I just don't care. So, but I love Diablo. I think that is a great game. And how many hours? I'm like, when you clock so many hours into a game that you can't even remember how many hours you played it because you replayed certain portions. Maybe you went back. I don't. I replayed that game a lot.
oh yeah, I've done every single class to get their got all of their missions at the ending, saw all of their stories, and with like Diablo 3 and the expansions and that one with the Reaper, I did that one, and then the expansion for that too. I played every single one. So when I was one of them people that was waiting, and
hmm
when they got the announcement, that was my sole reason for watching
Yeah.
the con, and I watched that shit live. And that guy said exactly what I was thinking because I said that shit in tandem with him, and I was like, "Are they fucking punking us?" And then the dude said, "Are you punking us right now?" And I go, "Well, shit."
Yep.
Am I there? Like, because that was my thought. Like,
Right.
no, dude, we waited not days, months, a year. It's been years. Like,
Yeah.
Diablo releases years apart. And I
Yep.
always respected that because they've crafted a great game from one to the other from expansion. Even the expansions take like months for them to drop an expansion for the game, but it's well worth the buy. And it's like mobile, there's like so many pitfalls with that because one, you're limiting, like on PC you can do the hotkeys like we were
hmm
talking about where it's just easier with your equipment and everything and swapping with certain shit on the fly. I need a certain staff for here or a certain stat for here, and I'm like, how is that going to work on mobile? Like, I mean, I've seen mobile games with hotkeys, but it's not the same as with the PC where I can configure stuff to the key that I want it. I mean, with mobile, you only got so many freaking buttons. So it's like, uh, I'm just like, I can't imagine how this is going to play out. And, it's like we talked about in the beginning. It's all a cash grab now. It's
Yeah.
all
hmm
it's all about the bottom line, and they're neglecting their base. And I think it's a terrible move for Blizzard because they're synonymously known for very good products. Whatever they've put out has always been stellar. So for them to go this very greedy, corporate kind of route, it really saddens me because they were one of the few people worth the wait.
Yep. Absolutely.
I
There's.
mean, shit, StarCraft 3 took years, and we all waited on the edge of our seat
hmm
for that one.
Yeah, I remember that. And I think the issue is that when you have this very competitive market, they think that by going to put these games on mobile, like this is the future because this is what's popular in Japan, right? Or China or whatever other country. Well, what you're understanding is that a lot of people have PCs. Like even if you have like a laptop, okay, I'm more prone to my laptop. I have a gaming laptop, and then I have a
Oh,
gaming
okay.
computer that I'm rebuilding pieces of right now. And then I am a gaming household, like as far as when it comes to PCs. Now, as far as the other stuff goes, that's like the husband or the kids, like they have their favorites, but I'm into the laptop gaming, so a lot of the games I play require a lot of juice.
Oh
So
yeah.
um, but I'm willing to pay that. I'm willing to upgrade and do all those adjustments to play the game at the best quality possible without frying the computer, or better yet, having the best quality to that game. So I don't really give a shit about mobile gaming in that same context at all. Like I don't give a shit. I think I get pissed off the fact that we have to replace television sets every 2 years. Like I get pissed about shit like that. Um, I just it blows my mind. Like, cause I had like for a long time I had TVs, um, that were from like the '90s that had not even they were glass and horrible. Don't get me wrong, but they were still working. They didn't fry.
90s
I
TVs.
know, right? The big glass fucking tombs, but or blocks,
Oh
boulders.
God,
Uh,
like I moved my new HD flat screen just by myself on my shoulder like this, and I go, shit, my old TV, I had before that, I had like a 32-inch tube television. That
Yeah.
fucker, I had to have one person on one end and me, and we're going like this. And this new TV, I just threw it on my
Yep.
shoulder and walked right out of the house.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing is like these TVs are lighter in all those aspects, and I'm okay with that. But it's just the longevity of the product is shit. So it's like I feel the same way about smartphones as an example. Like you're good if you could get you're lucky. Let's say you're lucky if you can get 5 years out of one phone, depending on what type it is, of course. But I'm talking like smartphones and that kind of shit. It's just this technology doesn't have the longevity because it's a very consumer based money making market where they're always like you have to have like the newest phone. I'm not that way about it. That's not my technology favorite. I think smartphones are a pain in the ass. So I don't, devote money into that. Like that's not my. I don't mind dropping it if it's at a decent amount, I guess, on a phone. Not $1,000 for a smell. I would rather spend $1,000 on a computer. You know,
Yeah, and get more worth out of it.
right. And to be honest with you, it's like I still look for deals. Like I go to Newegg, I'll go to other websites looking for, open box stuff um, to upgrade with. And I have been very lucky and haven't had any issues with any open box products that I've had. So I've been able to collect pieces for either a PC or even laptops. I got my gaming laptop actually from a local guy here for it's a what do you call it? Omen, H HP Omen, I think it is.
Yeah.
um, Beautiful computer. I have my complaints about certain things, but overall, I'm very happy with it. I can run pretty much every game I want to on this. Like with the Sims, as an example, like the newest Sims, there's a lot of engines running and background apps, so it will blow your computer up if you don't have like it'll freeze it or have issues if you don't have the right equipment. So it runs perfectly smooth on this computer and my gaming computer as well that's being right now it's in the what do you call it, the burn ward, anyway. So it's in the burn unit, better yet, as Mads said the other night, the burn unit. But yeah, I mean it's one of those things though that I'd rather soak my money into PCs or maybe let's say games or upgrades than I would for, let's say, a piece of technology that's going to be fried in 2 years. That's such bullshit. Like, fuck the industry for that. I can't believe all the technology we have, and we can't have an HD that doesn't start to bleed from the screen, like after 2 years, you know? But I don't know. That's where the age comes out. I'm like, back in my day, our TVs lasted 10 years. But my husband knows that that's one thing that pisses me off. So like when he knows like the TV, he's the one that's in control of that purchase. I am not because it just pisses me off. I go in the store, I'm like $600 for that fucking look at that glass piece of crap. I'm like I could throw that through a wall and guess what? That thing would lose. Like back in my day, you could throw a glass TV through the wall and the wall would lose.
Yeah, if you could pick it up.
Oh, exactly. You have to have
You'd have
six
to be
people.
pretty pissed off to pick up those old school televisions and fling them. That's
You know
when you
what?
knew someone was strong. You're like,
There you
that
go. Right.
fucker just threw his TV across the room.
Back in our
Now
day,
you throw it, it's just like, whatever.
see,
Tim
here's
got
the
mad.
thing. That's why the gamers were like more like bulk up. That's why you got some like what do you call it, Ultimate Warrior gamers from back in the day. Because when they got angry, they picked that TV up and chuck it. You're like, oh fuck this guy! Picks up the TV, throws it through the window. Kills a small animal. But the point is that I don't endorse that. But I'm just saying. Maybe that's why we have a lot more like limber soy-based individuals in the world is because they don't have PCs big enough to throw.
Yep,
They're
that's
not
that's
bulking
totally
up.
real. They're not they're not bulking on the range.
Because
Uh,
throwing your controller is not going to work.
but this has been a great discussion. I wanted to go an hour, but we've been an hour and a half,
Oh
and
shit.
yeah, time flies when we're having great conversation. But I'm gonna start winding it down because
Hmm.
we've got the invasion of the fandom zone for late nights with me and PB, and of course your Squirrel. You'll probably be
Yep.
scurrying over there, right?
Yes,
Good.
sir. Hmm.
All right, cool. Get some acorns from over there. But anyways, we've had a good amount of people watching. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate all of you fine folks who popped in to see the launch of the fandom talks,
Mhm.
and with our very first awesome guest,
Thank you.
uh, Mad Squirrel. And really, this has been a great kickoff for this. And just to let you guys know, every Wednesday I'll be bringing you another bridge crew, and then eventually I'm going to get to all of my friends that I know that have helped me out. I know Black Angus has talked about wanting to come on, and
I have his thumbnail ready.
yeah, Angus has expressed wanting to come on. Of course, I have to have proper Jeremy on. I want to have Sean on. I had Chris on here, so I might have him back.
Hmm.
And that was great because I got to actually sit, get some water, eat a couple of bags of chips. And I just let him go, man. It was
Poor
all his
Chris.
heart.
Oh, Chris, man. Yeah.
Dude, I love Chris Knight. But I was like, this is a topic, and he just went, and I was like, yep. Mm-hmm.
PB.
No, 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 I disagree
Uh,
there. We did, but Chris is a great guy.
mhm.
So you guys have this to look forward to. We're gonna do it every Wednesday night. Hopefully, I can hit the 9 o'clock. It was a little sketchy there because I watched the kitchen and it got out a little bit later, and then I got to the ending, and I had already seen the ending from walking into theaters. So I was like, okay, I don't need this shit. I already know how it's going.
Right.
I just needed to catch up on like
Hmm.
the rest of the movie. But you know, thank you everybody for coming out. So quickly, man, tell everyone where they can find your channel and what up and coming things you got brewing in the tree.
um, you can find me at Mad Squirrel on YouTube, and I'm on Twitter at SGT Mad Squirrel. And for my channel, I did a couple of reviews I posted last week for an older film, and then I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to get arrangements done. It's really hard when everyone has time differences. So, um, I'm supposed to be having a roundtable with Willie Pete and Odie. They're part of the punk community, and we were going to be doing a roundtable about the punk community and the SJW shit that's infiltrated it over, especially I would say within the last we'll say 7 to 10 years, and how much it's changed. Their music community, and there is a very strong punk community. Like a family. So we were going to talk about that because it has negatively influenced it to the point where they were running groups for certain punk community kids that were straight edge. That straight edge means not drinking, not drugs. Just kind of like keeping things simple. Because they have other stuff they're doing in life, but and how they were having issues with Antifa and a lot of other
Fucking
stuff that
Antifa.
yeah, I know. And that was the thing when I heard about it, I was like, what the fuck is this? And they were trying to recruit people out of their groups. And of course, Willie Pete doesn't put up with that shit. Because I raised him right. But his other friends too, there was quite a few of them that had to because Antifa individuals were having interactions with them that I thought was very interesting, and things that were said to them, and just how they're going about trying to recruit people out of these communities for their own political agenda, but also for domestic activities that I consider inappropriate. I'll put it that way. Um, but anyway, I'm supposed to be getting that roundtable put together probably within the next week. So I'm very excited about that. I'm also going to be having on Rich very soon, I hope, because we were going to talk about just some crypto stuff that we used to talk about all the time, and other things like that. So yeah, that's the stuff I have coming up. Thank you so much, though. I really do appreciate you having me on. And I know that there's a lot of great people that would absolutely be fantastic to be in this spot right now. So I really do appreciate you bringing me on for this, and I'm really grateful for the chat. I'm sorry I haven't been on top of the chat. I was in between other screens and stuff like that, so I wasn't able to usually mod like I usually do and interact with people, because I do appreciate everybody that popped in, and even people I haven't had an opportunity to talk to, one on one in such a sense. I do appreciate people just hanging out and talking to one another, and interactions we've had in chat. I'm grateful for those, and no matter who you are, I'm always down to be chill, in the end. Like I don't like fighting, I don't like any of that stuff. I'm usually just like I don't want to deal with it. as long as nobody's talking on my behalf, we're good. So we're fine. But thank you so much, though, Zod. I think your channel is doing. You were doing fantastic before. Mary did a lot of great effort and helping you start out and do all these things and help keep you going. And so me doing thumbnails and doing the things that I do is just a very small, you know what I mean, a very small crumb in comparison to the efforts Mary Mayhem has brought to the table to help you out and other people too. A PB is fantastic. Um, I love, I love the dynamic that you and PB have together. I think it's like that. It is like you had said, just like Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon is what you wanted to go for. And I think that's
Yep.
accurate. Although I think if Ed McMahon was a lot more sarcastic and quick witted, that would be more PB. um, but at the same time, though, it was, I really appreciate you having me on that first time that you had your stream and or not first time you had your stream, but the first time I was on your stream and just hanging out and doing like modding and stuff like that. I don't mind it at all. And because in the end, I don't like fighting. I don't like dramas and things that go on. Every community has it. Everyone's got that plague. It's the way life is as long as there's humans. But I like the fact that on our channel, at least there's been a great effort to try to dissolve that and have everyone be in a positive state of mind and keep going forward. And I think that's the point is just keeping the community on the right foot and keep going forward. And whatever maybe personal issues, let's say individuals have with each other, that's stuff that can be handled. It's one of those things in life is too short to start a war over opinions because guess what, none of those things are gonna fucking matter. Yeah, we
Yep.
all we all die in the end anyway. Anyway.
And yeah, as a matter of fact, that's my next guest here is going to be PB because of course
Mhm.
he's got to come on. Yeah, and I know PB. I've gone to as I was off here. I've traveled from the fandom zone to his corner of the world, which is quite honestly further than the fandom zone. So, but yeah,
Wait, you
um,
mean LB?
uh, PB and LB. LB is also going to be on
Mhm.
here as well, and I'm gonna have Stevie J, and I'm
Yes,
gonna have all of our bridge crew that
I think that's
will
cool.
eventually be here. So
I think it's good because in a sense too we get to know each individual because they might interact with us in chat or on the panel when we're all talking about crazy just crazy nonsense. But to get to know people in individual ways, like there's a lot of things we all have in common. And, it's like geek fandom stuff. Back in the day when you get teased for this shit.
yeah,
you
now we've
know,
become a thriving community, and I think
absolutely.
I mean, we all come from different walks of life, so I think it speaks. And yes, Senate, I give you credit for your quality insults. You've helped the channel, and Mega Jetty one, you too.
Yes.
You're here quite a bit, so I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate the chat, and I say this often. I don't care how much my sub count rises or where I'm at. I just care about the fact that I can bring people on this channel and that everyone has a great time,
Hmm.
and that here in the fandom zone we've amassed this great group of individuals that can just interact with each other, interact with us, and I think that's the most important part. That's the piece that makes this work. And yes, Lonely Banter, you were invited. You just you should have figured. All right, you're part of the bridge crew. You're coming on. Even if I gotta drag a lonely man from a lonely cave,
Hmm.
or the lonely bench, wherever he's from.
Lonely. Lonely bench.
you
Oh, yeah. And,
know,
and I mean, it's like you are able to have different people on and bring in new voices. And sometimes we can't get to everybody because of the limitations now, especially with StreamYards. It's funky trying to because like I'll pop in and out for people so that way they have time on and that way they can interact and hang out for a little bit and like Lethal or Chris or anybody Sean Stackhouse and having everyone on the Senate is absolutely though may I add a staple of chat and I always appreciate he's hilarious and he's a good guy and I know that his hours are going to be more limited now that we're going into a new year for schooling for different people. And in the end, though, it's like being able to have those conversations though with everybody and having a good time in the process. I absolutely agree. But the Senate is awesome, and he is this Senate. I absolutely recommend his channel. He doesn't have quote any content, but follow him on Twitter. He has content. He does. He just doesn't see it right now, but eventually maybe he will put up some stuff because he has skills. I'll say that. Senate's got skills. So and he has a very good sense of humor. And I think that everyone has something to offer. It's just I was encouraged very much by Black Angus and then other people like Shellback and Geek, and I think One Immortal was one of the also the other individuals like make a channel, make a channel. I'm like I don't know, man. But yeah, so I absolutely encourage people to make a channel. Your voice does matter. It doesn't matter like if you think that your stuff isn't that entertaining. Somebody will like it eventually, even if it's a troll. Who gives a shit? So
Yep, we all get them. That just means you're making good shit.
yeah, exactly.
So, thank you, everybody. I'm glad that you all joined us, and we will be having these every Wednesday. The 9 o'clock hour seems to be a good hour, and I love all of you guys, and I appreciate all you guys. Make sure you subscribe to Mad Squirrel. There were a couple of people in the chat. Make sure you're subscribed to the Lonely Banter, to PB, um,
Stevie
to
J,
Snow Dub,
Snow Dub,
Proper,
Thomas, also.
Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the fine folks that you see.
Mega Jetty.
Go ahead, show them love.
Yeah, there's a lot of great content creators and new people coming in all the time. And honestly, it's exciting. It's exciting. Mega Jetty One does watch parties and different things. He puts up videos as well, and um, there's so many people. It's hard to keep up with. Just like everyone has a specialty that they excel at. Mega Jetty, for example, has an immense knowledge base of films and movies and actors and remakes and things like that. That he's still coming in. He's gaining steam, absolutely, but he's been going at it for a while now. And at first you get discouraged because you're like, I don't think anyone really is paying attention. People are. I think it's just you have to give it time, and eventually you start picking up people, and then you're good to go. And then it's slowly like a steamroller. It just happens. So yeah, there's some really outstanding content creators. I know Slasher hasn't done videos for a little while, but he has very good content and very talented. So I mean, there's a lot of talented creative minds in the communities, whether it's here, quote, in the fandom zone or elsewhere outside the expansive multitude of collective groups and so on. There's a lot of creative minds out there. So yeah, absolutely.
So, with that, you guys got questions, you all know where to find me. You can find me on Twitter at Siler1217. People ask me, is that from Heroes? Yes, Siler was one of my favorite characters from Heroes. So I adopted the name quite a bit. So, as always, thank you everybody for coming. You can find me here shortly. I will be doing the late nights here in about, holy crap, 28 minutes. So, gotta wrap this up. As always, remember the golden rule here on the channel.
Oh God.
Kneel before Zod.
Yeah, I'm calling the cops.
Oh my.